the animals and the peace, that the beauty there is in nature, but I'm connected also with the stars. And who am I? Inside me there's full of stars, right? You look at your atomic structures, it looks like stars. So you can travel within and travel with that, and I like to communicate that to people. So I do art which reflects this and trigger information deep within the self of people, who they truly are. I'm not French anymore. Well,
what would you consider yourself? Yeah.
Well, right now I'm planetarian.
Yeah.
But the planet is among the galaxies, so anyway, it's just words.
Yeah.
The word is important, it's just nothing to feel.
So you see yourself kind of as a translator or a messenger for the things you were dreaming and seeing in the ocean?
Say I'm a Taurus, so Taurus, I enjoy
Expression.
Good life, like feeling life and experiencing life. And Gemini rising, so I like communication.
Yeah.
So to communicate this with other people, I'm curious about many different plan of reality. And there's not only the physical reality that we experience here, but there's many others.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's very beautiful. This one of the painting like is a reflection of other place to live. So I made a video DVD which you can go inside and go to different world. So it's a journey through many worlds.
And you left France very early. You told me you were 18 or very early to go and travel because you really felt like you had to travel.
So I went far away, the opposite, Pacific Islands, just to be with the ocean, the coral reef, warm water, that beauty. It's very inspiring. There's beauty everywhere in every country. You can always find your second garden. Hawaii is a bit like this. It's a further piece of land, and it's full of stars at night.
The top of Lemuria.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I don't like to talk about it, but I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
But the Lemuria is nothing to do with time. It's not like an ancient things.
Yeah.
I think it's a presence which is beyond time and space.
I want to ask you first to introduce yourself, and I think the most direct is who are the beings that you are?
You don't want this to last very too long. Most of the time when we introduce the 12 of us, it takes between 1 and 2 hours.
Okay.
So we'll give you the edited version, right?
Yeah, great.
So we are Storyteller. We are a 12-member Ta'adin Soul collective. That is we consider ourselves to be an experiment in consciousness evolution. At least we hope that what we are representative of is evolution and not something else. And the 12 of us do have individuality, but we relinquish autonomy in the physical form. So we incarnate into a singular form. A little bit like being a musician and enjoying to play an instrument. And there are so many things that you can do as you gain mastery of that instrument, and some beautiful music that you can create. However, when you get into the symphony with all the other musicians, then you can really begin to have fun. But still you are playing your instrument. So you have a sense of individual nature and perspective, and what you play in the symphony is unique to your gift and your instrument. Mm-hmm. And yet in the symphony you transcend your individual mind as well, and you become the symphony. So Ta'adin Soul is a little bit like that. So there are 12 of us who maintain a degree of individuality, and yet we are also able to transcend individual perspective and be in collective mind, which is where we're talking to you from right now. This is all 12 of us focused on you. So now, if you like, we'll do a very short introduction of the 12 of us, is like the individual instruments.
That would be good to have more clear, yeah.
Well, this is for Hari-san, and what I will tell you to begin with is that there are 12, so 6 of us carry a female valence and 6 carry a male valence. It's not really the same as being gender male or gender female, but valence. Valence is like the charge that we carry. And since we are in a duality consciousness manifestation here on this earth, it was felt for this group to be balanced and integrated, that we would have half one valence and half the other, so that we are a whole being as we develop.
I'd like to know more about the 4th dimension. What's the quality of the 4th dimension? Like yesterday we were talking how relationships are shifting, and I bet there is many more. And yeah, what's the quality of the 4th dimension?
In the 3rd dimension, we describe that first a little bit and shift to the 4th. In the 3rd dimension, you are working with a geometry that is pyramidal. The star tetrahedron has a pyramidal nature to it, and it's interlocked. Yeah, so you have what looks like a dimensional Star of David if you look at a star tetrahedron. But there's directionality to it. So in the 3rd dimension, consciousness as it manifests in your type of species and on the planet is hierarchical. And it's built on a model of the apex. So there is a base, and the base holds, but it narrows as it goes up. So as you move up the ladder, it becomes more and more what is theoretically sophisticated and more technically powerful until you get to the peak. So there's a top, and there's a base, and there's a middle, and there's everyone supporting that, but they all have a relationship to that peak. And that peak tends to be seen as the desired place to be in general, being at the top of the heap. So in the hierarchy, there's a fair amount of playing around with manipulation and coercion of different forms, and jockeying about in competition and conflict, and all these wonderful, marvelous aspects of consciousness and of experience. And that's very, very slender description of the 3rd dimension. As you move into the 4th dimension, you shift to a model that has no peak, that is full complementarity, as we call it. Now, other beings will use other words to describe the same function. If you take a sphere or a faceted sphere, a dodecahedron looks like a faceted sphere, like one of those crystals that have flat
Different
edges. Huh? But if you take a faceted sphere, there's no top and bottom. It all appears to be relationally the same. And yet each facet of the sphere carries an important role. Without it, there would be no completion. So the 4th dimension is different from the 3rd in that complementarity, or understanding one's individual nature in the context of this larger complex nature is what we do. In the 4th dimension, because of that geometry, matter does not follow the same type of rule base, because matter follows consciousness. In the 3rd dimension, the rules are, how do you put that? The rules hold for an order to things that will keep you moving in that direction.
My Anglo name is Stan Espinoza. My Indian name is Don Antelope. And I was named according to my grandfather's wishes many years ago. And I'm deciding which name I want to use now, whether to change it to Don Antelope or Stan Antelope or just stay with Stan. I don't know, but I'll make that decision in a few more months. But this time I prefer to be called Stan.
Stan, okay. You are a potter. How did you start your pottery?
I started out helping my mother do her pieces, helping her get the clay as well as the firing material, and getting interested. When she asked me to work with clay, I started working with it, and it took me years of practice, years of working for my fingers to be able to be flexible enough to do the work. The rest is just trial and error. You do whatever you have to, and most of it, all the pottery that I do is coil, hand worked. I don't use any kind of wheel.
Electricity either?
No electricity, other than when I fire.
Huh.
In order to ensure myself a to retain a lot of pottery, I use an electric kiln to pre-fire them.
Yeah.
Fire them and get them to where I can safely put them in the oven and do wood fire. And basically, that's to get the black marks.
To have that in there on the pottery. Yeah.
Yeah, which is traditional.
An old tradition that it goes from family to family.
My mother's family, for generations before her, made pottery for trade, for barter, and her sisters, 3 of her sisters, or 4 sisters, all learned how to make pottery through their mother, and carried on the tradition. Some of us in the family do it, others don't do it, but the ones that do it, we're very accomplished. I'm a master potter, recognized by the School of American Research in Santa Fe.
Great.
As one of the master potters. I have a lot of fun making pottery, and I've been doing it for the last, probably the last 15 years.
That's a long time.
And, it's also made me famous.
That's a good thing too.
Yeah,
to know.
It's nothing that I really was after.
Yeah.
But it just came along with the territory. You know, people recognize the work.
OCO. My name is Adasti Gadahi, and I am a Cherokee medicine woman living in Taos, New Mexico. We are at this wonderful, authentic Mexican restaurant enjoying a good lunch together. In the work that I have done through 35 years of being a medicine woman, I have traveled throughout the world doing healings for the earth, blessings and prayers and ceremony with other indigenous people like the Maori of New Zealand, in the North Island of Cherokee, where we did many different beautiful blessings and ceremony for the land there. In the outback of Uluru in Australia with the Aboriginal people, with other Mayan people in the Yucatan, that is all over the Yucatan Peninsula, and going to the different temples there, doing a reawakening of ceremony for the first time for hundreds of years. So,
what is your personal background? Like from the bloodline?
My heritage alone, being raised by Cherokee medicine men and medicine women, mostly medicine women, because Cherokee is a matriarchal society. My great-grandmother and grandmother and mother have all been medicine women, born into it by heritage alone. In other words, the grandmother and the mother and the great-grandmother, and they all follow that lineage, and I was, of course, in line from my mother. And these things that I have learned in being a medicine person come from having them exposed to me since I was a very small little girl. But being born into it meant, even though I had another sister and brother, it meant that I was selected because I was born a certain way. And the reason for the spiritual commitment at a very young age was because my great-grandmother and grandmother, who were medicine women, were able to decipher and decide that I was born into this work and I would have to do it all my life. But by choice alone and bloodline alone, this is how I have started at a very young age and continue to now when I'm 65.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. Wado and a ho. That is Cherokee for thank you, and I have nothing more to say.